Are you taking the ACT and you want to nail the English section and you don't want to make the mistake that everyone basically makes with this specific question type? If so, you've come to the right video. My name is Kristina of Ivy Lounge Test Prep. For the last 15 years, I've helped high schoolers all over the globe dramatically raise their SAT and ACT test scores and ultimately land spots at the colleges of their dreams. So today we are going to talk about the add, delete, question type that you will find on the ACT's English section, either in the current format or in the new format that is happening right now if you're taking it online and will be the law of the land come September of 2025. So this question type is on both formats of the test, and it's really easy to get it wrong, but it's also really easy to get it right when I show you my special trick. So what is the add delete question that I'm even talking about? So you understand that many of the ACT's English questions on the section don't actually test your grammar per se, but they ask you instead to focus on the logical cohesion or the structure of the passage as a whole. And what we in the test prep field call these are like rhetorical elements as opposed to, say, grammar or standard English conventions, right? So these rhetorical elements. Now, one of the most popular types of rhetorical elements questions that are found on the English section of the ACT is what I call an add delete question. So now this question can actually take two different forms, but it's really the same question type. So I'm going to show you both. So one of them might be worded, the writer is considering adding the following sentence at the location, right, where the question is, should he or shouldn't he and why, right? So should we add this sentence at this location? Yes, no, and then why are we not? The other way it can be worded is like this. The writer is considering deleting the underlined sentence or phrase. Should he or shouldn't he? And if so, why? So one of them is asking, should I add something? The other one is asking, should I take something out of the passage in the first place? Both of those questions I just said, they're actually asking you the very same question, just in different ways. They're merely asking, is the sentence we're looking at relevant to the rest of the paragraph? That's it. They're just asking, is it relevant? Now, if the sentence is relevant, then you want it in the paragraph, right? So then you would say yes to adding, or you would say no to deleting. Now, if the sentence is not relevant, then you don't want it in the paragraph. So then you would say no to adding it, and you would say yes to deleting it. Make sense? So I actually have a really nifty 4-step process for helping you nail this question type. But before I do, I actually have a question for you. And that is, do you know what question I'm talking about? Answer me in the comments, yes or no. And while you're at it, like, do you like this question type? Do you tend to get them right? Do you tend to get them wrong? Let me know. I want to know where you're coming from. While you're at it, go ahead and like this video, just quick thumbs up. And why not just subscribe to my channel? And then that way, every week when I drop the latest in SAT, ACT, college application tricks and hacks, you'll be the very first to know. Okay, so how should you decide if you are going to add or delete or keep a sentence on the ACT's English section? So here's where my little magical formula comes in. So for any add, delete question that you see in the English section of the ACT, you should follow these 4 steps to determine if the underlined sentence is relevant or not to the rest of the passage, okay? So step 1, you are going to read the sentence that comes before the sentence they're asking about, okay? Step 2, you are going to read the sentence in question, the one that they're asking if you should add it or asking if you should delete it. Step 3, you're now going to read the sentence that comes after it. And then step 4, you are going to make your decision. And here is the big takeaway. Ready? So if the middle sentence, the one that they are asking about, seems fine, or like you don't even notice it at all, guess what? As far as the ACT is concerned, it is relevant. That means we add it or we don't delete it. Okay? Now, if it sticks out like a sore thumb and you're like, then that is your clue. It is not relevant. Means we do not add it or we say yes to deleting it. But Christina, you're probably asking, like, how do I know if the sentence just seems fine? Like, that's not what I would write. Let me tell you a little story. Just for a minute, I want you to just close your eyes and imagine. Literally, this will be like 10 seconds. Imagine like a fancy house or a really beautiful restaurant or hotel or some place where you go in and you're just like, wow, this place is nice. Okay, do you have it in your head? Awesome. So now, bear with me, but chances are there is probably a piece of furniture there that you never would have selected if it were going to be like the only furnishing in the room. I would call this the beige chair. Stay with me. So, like, who wakes up one morning and says, you know what I'm extremely excited to have in my living room? I know, I want a beige chair. Nobody, that's who, right? So, no one wants a boring beige chair. However, beige is one of the most popular color choices for chair fabric. Every furniture store has it on their menu, right? There's probably a beige chair in that interior picture of that pretty hotel lobby or that restaurant or that house that you were just thinking about. You just didn't notice it before. Yet that chair is essential, right? It pulls the space together. So not every item in a living room, in a hotel lobby, in a fancy restaurant can be big and loud and bold, right? It just can't be. It would be cacophonous. It would make us uncomfortable physically to look at, right? It would be overwhelming. So, in that way, the fact that you don't even notice the beige chair means precisely that it's doing its job and therefore that it needs to stay. Okay, does that make sense so far when we're talking about interior design? Okay, so now go with me here. A beige chair is essential to all writing, including the writing sections of the ACT English section. So sometimes there's a sentence and it's not exciting, but it does move the passage or the paragraph along. It provides a little bit of new information and it's not maybe dazzling in style or in content. And I jokingly call this a beige chair sentence. Okay. So if you proceed through the steps that I told you about for the add delete question type and you don't notice anything at all, guess what? That means that the sentence in question is basically a boring beige chair sentence and it's just doing its job and therefore it stays. So the reverse situation, right, is you read the three sentences together, the one that comes before the one they're asking about, the one they're asking about, and then the one that comes after it. And your reaction is like feeling confused, furrowing your brow, shaking your head, or like thinking somewhere along the lines of like, huh? What does it have to do with anything else, right? So if that is your reaction, if you are like having a visceral reaction to reading these three sentences together, guess what? That means you do not keep the middle sentence. That would be like a lime green fountain in the middle of someone's living room, right? It does not make sense. It's time to delete it or to simply not add it. So now we figured out if the sentence in the middle is relevant or not, and therefore if we are adding it or if we are deleting it or keeping it. But then each of these answer choices has a reason why. So you'll basically have two answer choices that say to, add it or not to add it, but they all have different reasons. Or yes, delete it. No, don't delete it. And they have different reasons. So don't make a mistake and pick the wrong reason why. There's only one reason ever that you're going to get rid of a sentence. That means don't add or we are actively deleting it on the ACT's English section. Do you know what that reason is? That reason is it was off topic. It strayed from the paragraph's focus. It detracted from the topic at hand. We have so many ways we can paraphrase this, right? But what it has to do with is it was off topic. It wasn't talking about what everything else was talking about. Now, on the other hand, the correct reason for deleting or not adding a sentence is never going to be that the sentence got a small detail wrong. Okay? So in other words, you don't get rid of a lime green fountain in the middle of your living room because the fountain should have actually been neon orange, right? No, don't fall for it. It's because we don't want a fountain in our living room at all. Does that make sense? So now let's do a little example, okay? So let's say that we have a question, and it's the writer is considering deleting the underlined sentence. Should the writer do this? And if so, why? Okay. We are going to do our 4-step process. And that means we are going to read the sentence before, the sentence that's underlined, and the sentence afterwards. Okay. So the first example would be 3 sentences that go together, and the middle one is basically like a beige chair sentence, and therefore it stays, and we do not delete it. So, sentence 1. Hermes is a deity or god in ancient Greek religion and mythology. Sentence 2. He is considered the messenger of the gods and the protector of human travelers, thieves, merchants, and speakers. Sentence 3. Known for his quickness, Hermes is able to move freely between the mortal and divine worlds, aided by his winged sandals. So I don't know about you, but like nothing stuck out at all. It's like, okay, cool, whatever. That would be a beige chair sentence. This one would stay. We do not delete it. Does that make sense? Now, what if I switched my middle sentence and turn it into something that's more like the neon green fountain? This is what that would sound like, and see if you can feel the difference, like from feeling nothing to feeling ugh. Okay, so this is a new example where I have changed the middle sentence. Hermes is a deity or god in ancient Greek religion and mythology. Aphrodite and Athena are also gods in the ancient Greek pantheon. Known for his quickness, Hermes is able to move freely between the mortal and divine worlds, aided by his winged sandals. So that one, you're like, if your head did that the way like I wanted to, it's like, wait, I thought we were talking about him, and now we're talking about the 2 female goddesses, and now we're back. What? If you have that reaction, that's the sticks out like a sore thumb reaction, okay? And that means we don't want that middle sentence. But remember, do not get tripped up in the next part and pick the wrong reason why we're deleting. So here would be an answer choice that provides the wrong reason to delete. So it first starts with, yes, we should delete. And you're like, yay, it got that right. But they said the wrong reason. So yes, because the sentence mentions Aphrodite and Athena when it should have mentioned Zeus and Hera. No, we should not be quibbling over the details here, right? On the other hand, this is what the answer choice might sound like with the correct reason to delete or get rid of the sentence. Yes, because the sentence blurs the focus of the paragraph, which is about Hermes. Does that make sense? Not to get distracted by the details, but instead it blurs the focus. It strayed from the topic. It detracted from the subject, something along those lines. So awesome. So now you understand exactly how to nail the add delete question that shows up in every single ACT English section, whether it's the old or the new format. So I hoped you loved this tip. If you need more help, there are a couple ways that you can work with me. One is you can check out my website, ivyloungetestprep.com, to see about working with me one-on-one. But if you're more of a DIY kind of studier, then what else you can do is check out my ACT online courses and ebooks. I have my ACT Grammar Cram Plan that has this trick and every bit of grammar and rhetorical strategies you need to know for the English sections. I also have a book for math, and I have a course for the science and a course for the reading. So check them out in the link below.